Okay, so I've started a brand new Zwift account as a beginner category D racer, Mr. Noob. And here's the challenge. I want to see if I can upgrade all the way to category A, but here's the catch. I cannot upgrade categories until I've won a race at my current level. So let's just dive right into it, starting with category D.
All right, so jumping into the D race, first one I could find, and you can see we're just a couple kilometers into this race. I decide to give it a rip on the front, just a little tester to see where we're at. Now, Ds are for new racers, right? Now, although I'm still pretty new to Zwift, guys, I have like 15 years of endurance fitness, and I quickly realized that I can just lean on that fitness I've developed to ride off the front. No skills necessary, no strategy. And look, it's not a flex. I mean, I'm sure it's going to bite me later on, not understanding Zwift, but for now, at this level in the Ds and Zwift, I think you're probably just better served getting more fit. You'll find success. But in any case, I'm not going to steal the win, so I quickly exit out of the Ds and move on to the C category. And I tried the same thing, right? I have what looks like a steamroller. I don't even know what that power-up is. I know the concept of power-up, so I have no idea what the steamroller means, but I'm going to do the same thing as I did in the Ds. Now, it works just like it did in the Ds, but you'll notice that I'm doing quite a bit more power in this C field than the Ds. Part of that's because the pace is a little bit faster overall, but also because I'm chasing this solo rider off the front. But here's the thing. Once I catch and pass that solo rider off the front, I kind of settle in and realize, oh, I can just bring this in at about sweet spot. So again, no strategy required, just leaning on my fitness. We're going to exit out. We're not going to steal the win from somebody in the Cs. We're going to move on to the B field. And this is where it gets interesting. This is where I can't just be fit. I mean, I tried, guys. I tried just to roll off the front like I did in the Ds, like I did in the Cs, and I was defeated. It did not work. And also in my first B race, I was just way too excited. I was chasing every little thing down, spending way too much energy throughout the race. And by the way, if you are in the Ds and the Cs, like I said before, awesome. You're on a bike. I'm stoked. That is great. You're probably going to get fit really quickly and find success that way, but you can also use these strategies that I'm going to talk about in the Bs, specifically the As. And chasing everything down is not the way to go. So you can see after the, third or fourth chase back, we finally come up to the sprint, and a group got off the front. I finally just kind of cracked towards the end, and I just didn't have much left over, and got beat hard. Although after looking at the guy who won this race, 221 watts, resulting in a 4.9 watt per kg. So he's claiming he's 99 pounds. Look, not body shaming over here. I just find that pretty hard to believe. And then also 400 watt Sandy in third was absolutely locked in to 399 watts this entire race. But anyway, I was not deterred. I quickly jumped into another B race, and here we are, guys, an hour and 16 minutes into a 55-kilometer Zwift race. My thought was, look, if I can do a longer one, maybe I will have better endurance fitness, right? It's not like your normal 20, 30-minute crit race on Zwift. It's like a full hour and a half. I was wrong. The field was really brought down to a group of select A racers and B racers in the same field. And guys, I only had to compete against 2 other B racers in this field. And within the last 3 kilometers, I'm just watching one of them roll off the front. I took a poll, and I thought there's no way they're just going to let him roll off the front, right? And also, there's like no way you can hold this power to the finish, right? Those are like, for you regular Zwifters out there, you probably know this is like not the right mentality. I think these late race breakaways seem to be successful in Zwift. So I'm just watching this thing get away. Kind of sitting in now, hoping somebody else is going to do the work because we're so deep into this race, guys. There's only a couple of minutes left. We're 1.7 kilometers. I have no power-up. More on that a little bit later. I've kind of figured out how to use power-ups. But in terms of this race, I'm sitting here in a losing position. He's now 6 seconds up the road, and these other riders, I'm just kind of watching them roll away. Like, I'm thinking too much about the sprint. I'm having the opposite problem that I had in my first B race, which was the first race I was chasing everything back. This race, I'm watching everything get away. Now I'm really playing the game hard, like going full sprinter here at the end, and just making sure that I'm going to have legs for the final 200 meters. But now he's 8 seconds up the road, so we're approaching this final corner, and I decide I just need to step on it here. We're 1.2 kilometers to go. This is way outside of my wheelhouse. This is too far, but have a lot of energy left. We're Again, like I said, we're almost an hour and 20 minutes into this race, so I'm hoping these other guys behind are tired, and more importantly, I'm hoping the guy in front of me is tired because he still has 6 seconds, and I'm stepping on it here. I'm up at 7.5, 8 watts per kg, and it's looking good. I've already cut into his lead pretty severely, and I've dropped all the riders behind me. I'm not going to lead them out, and I'm looking at the right there. I'm looking at the watt per kg numbers. Also, apparently, I've unlocked colored socks. But anyway, at this point, I'm thinking, okay, this isn't exactly how I planned. This is a little sloppy, but it looks like I'm gonna bring down the win here because I am doing way more watts per kg. Oh, wait a second, I'm not doing way more watts per kg. Guy in front, homie, just all of a sudden found his second wind, and he's up at 6.57 watts per kg again with 500 meters to go, and I just can't close down those final 4 seconds. Man, was this frustrating after my second attempt, a long race, and I just sit up, dejected, roll in for second place, and decide to try lucky number 3, my third attempt at a B race. I'm going to put together all the stuff I learned in the first 2, hopefully have some more luck, and we're going to skip right to the last lap. You can see first thing right off the bat, I have a power-up, an aero power-up, which I think is the best for sprinting. Now, correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, guys, but this seems to be the best for sprinting, so I've hung on to this basically this entire race. And there are, 3 riders up the front? No, not again, Jeff. Don't do this again. 1.5 kilometers to go. But here's the difference. There is a climb on this course. It's very short, but people go absolutely nuts up this climb. And here's my thought process, you guys. There are a bunch of people in this field who do not want it to come down to a sprint, who are going to go absolutely nuts up this climb. And this group of 3 off the front right now by just, 3 or 4 seconds, there they are, they're not going to be able to make it to the finish because of that hill that is between us and the finish line. So I'm going to try to not just burn myself up before this climb. I'm going to see what people do on the climb, and if there's still a gap over the top of the climb, I'm going to send it. Use the power up if necessary. That's what's going on in my head. And as I'm speaking, we're about to hit the climb, and sure enough, there's a guy absolutely smashing on the front. This is exactly what I want to see. I want people to lead things out on this climb, and I want more people to fill in that gap. Absolutely perfect. This is what I want to see with inside of 1 kilometer to go. Now, keep closing it down, you guys. Keep going. I'm going to keep that power over the top. We're doing a lot here. We're sustained over like 600 watts. Now we're close to 500. And this guy with using his power up prematurely on the front. But then everybody just sits up. And this is like a critical moment, guys. 700 meters to go. And it's at this point where I'm thinking, okay, I'm not going to do this again. I'm not going to lose again. I'm going to die trying. So I get to the front here. You can see I just give it some gas. Now, this is a bit of a strange situation. This is less than ideal because I don't want to use my sprint right now, but I also don't want these riders just to get away from me. So I have to do some power. So I'm up at like 500. I still have sprint legs, but I feel like I might just be leading everyone out. And right here, we're 300 meters to go. So I just have to use that aero boost. There we go. And then step on it, use all my remaining power. These guys on the front are starting to fade, and this is all I have. It's not much. It's 850, 900 watts. But I think the power up and the timing of that catch made all the difference. So I'm able to lock down the win and the bees. That was way harder than I thought, guys. It's not just about fitness. It's about timing and strategy and putting all this stuff together. Because look, I'll show you guys what I'm talking about. I did 4.4 watts per kilogram to get first in this race. Well, my threshold is higher than that number. So you would think that, oh, well, I could just ride threshold and get away from everybody. But that's not how bike racing works because of drafting. That's true in Zwift also. Somebody in my draft could sit back there, even in the Bs, and do like 3.8 watts per kg while I'm doing 4.8. I would get exhausted. They would come around me at the end and win. That's the beauty of bike racing. Anyway, we're going to talk a lot more about strategy. We're going to put all this stuff together in the A's. And for that, I called upon the help of my buddy and friend of the channel, Will. Welcome back, buddy.
Thanks, Jeff. This always hurts, doesn't it? Indoor racing.
Oh, yeah. And off we go, man. Do you remember the start of this thing was hard? I just remember struggling right from the beginning of this A race. What were there, 20 of us or something like that? Let's talk about strategy, because now I have a teammate, right? Now we can actually think about how do we help each other.
Oh, yeah.
Will, as you guys know, a powerful sprinter in his own right, but I think probably more your strength is go from a bit longer, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. Especially on Zwift, where for sprinting, it's always like kind of a crapshoot for me. I never know when to go. I know how to lose a Zwift sprint for sure.
Yeah, I'm the same way. well, we'll talk about tips about the sprint when we get there. But I think the big picture here is like I would prefer to go from that 200 to 400 meters to go, kind of the Zwift sprint range. Your plan is to go a bit earlier, see if that'll work. But that's assuming we're going to stay together until the end of this race. And judging by the way we started this race at about 400 watts, I'm not exactly sure that's going to be in the cards for us, especially as we fast forward a little bit. I swear, at this point in the race, we're 4.5 minutes into this race, and I'm looking at this hill that we're fast approaching, thinking this could be a very short race for me today.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a stinger, man. It's really not that bad until people start kicking it up to like that 10, 12 watt per kilo mark, and you've got to hang on to that wheel. Even over the top, it can be really hard.
I remember this actually before we even got into the hill. The field starts to fall apart, and you were like, you told me in this moment, you're like, Jeff, chill, don't worry about it. And I was like, I'm kind of worried about it, but you were just looking out for your buddy. You're looking out for your sprinter, and you were up there closing the gap, doing a pretty hard effort. But here's the hill I was talking about, and you can see, like, I'm at the tail end of this group. Actually, I guess there's one rider behind me already pulling the plug, but I'm at the back of this group. You can see I'm just over 500 watts now, and I'm like not really making up much ground. And if you guys look at the little mini map up there in the top right, like we are all just kind of single file, little gaps opening up. Guys, 5.5 minutes into this race, it's looking so dangerous. But Will, you made the front group, and it's very questionable at this moment whether or not I'm going to even be a factor for the rest of this race, which is a over 20-kilometer race. But I'm not in the business of chasing teammates, right? Rule number 1 on NorCal cycling is don't chase teammates. So I'm gonna sit up here and just let these riders around me do the work. You can see that guy was using an aero boost. You can tell when you're using an aero boost this early in the race, you're on the struggle bus. I'm hanging on to mine. I got the aero boost, that helmet. That's one of the power-ups here in Zwift. And what I've learned up to this point is I think that's best saved for the sprint. So if at all possible, I want to hang on to that until the end. But yeah, I mean, it's really touch and go right now, Will. When you're looking at this gap from my perspective, what are your thoughts? Like, maybe we'll bring that back, maybe not?
Yeah, it's a long race. Like, you're less than a quarter of the way through the race. You've got to trust in your ability to bridge that gap, and if it gets over that, 4-second mark, you're going to have to start making moves to get across to it, ideally on a part of the course where everybody behind you is not going to get a free draft and come around. So that's what I'd be thinking.
And I get kind of lucky here. Again, you're up there, so I'm not going to chase it down myself. And I get kind of lucky. You can see those front riders sit up a bit, and I am able to close this one down and hang on to my aero power up at the same time. So let's fast forward a little bit and see how the rest of this race shakes out. And honestly, there's a little period of chill and rest there, but it doesn't last very long. A races, they are a notch above the B races, as you'd expect. But one thing I learned is just those periods of chill aren't as long as they are in the B races in general. And yeah, here we go. Riders off the front doing, I see orange numbers and red numbers on the right there. So that always is a strong indication that things are going down. And you can see, what is that, 3 riders organizing off the front. And my heart rate's still the 160. What are your thoughts? Will, you're the one who had to close that last one down. Am I going to lean on you once again?
Right, yeah. I mean, my fitness right now is definitely more long effort, so I thought we would be fine here. Once we got to that hill again, figured it would close down. It's early in the race, so I don't think people are all that tired, but as you can see, yeah, big gaps are starting to open up. We're all strung out, and it doesn't look like anyone has really recovered from that first hill, even on that flat section, so stuff's starting to light up here.
Yeah, this gap is looking scary. And at this point, we're talking again, and I'm like, so, Will, what are your thoughts on this? Will's done a lot more Zwift racing than I have, so I'm really leaning on you to, help me understand how threatening this is. But when I see, B Silver up there doing 9.3, 8.4, he was doing weird efforts. Yeah. Turns out, spoiler alert, he was DQ'd. Can we talk about that for a second? Because there are cheaters in Zwift. Mm-hmm. I know. Everyone's shocked, right? Crazy. People lie about their weight. But here's the deal. I think Zwift, there's cheaters in real life too, right? Well, this happens in this sport, unfortunately. But in Zwift, especially in recent years, they've done such a good job to screen these cheaters. So what ended up happening with B Silver is he got booted. Like his power was erratic. It was not human. So they flagged him and they booted him. So they've done a good job of getting rid of the cheaters and making it fair play. But anyway, as I'm talking about this, we are falling apart. Look at the field again, just like real life racing. You can see up in the upper right, single file line of riders with little gaps in between. Whether it's in Zwift or in real life, this is like alarm bells going off, right?
And
Will?
I'm starting to bridge to that little front group the best I can. Like I sent a pretty good attack. You can see me up there doing like 7 to 8 watts per kilo up this little hill. And I'm only 2 to 3 seconds, 2 seconds behind that group. So I'm thinking I'm going to make it over the top. But that group's doing like 10 watts per kilo on the front.
That's right. I remember this moment. I remember you were like, Jeff, I'm going to make it across. I was like, dude, go for it, buddy. I got nothing left. I'm 173 beats per minute back here. And I remember looking at your little avatar in the upper right-hand corner, and you got quiet too on the phone. We were on a phone call during this. You got quiet. I knew you were doing a serious effort. And you got closer to them than you were to me. Like you were more than halfway there. Oh God, I'm using my aero boost too. I'm desperate now, guys, because at this point, I need, like, in case Will doesn't make it, I need to be as fresh as possible to go with the counter, or to be, in this second group if Will gets brought back as somebody who can take another pull and like try to close that down as best as possible. But look at Will up there. Oh my God, you're again, like I said, you're closer to them than you are to us, and they were just up there. B Silver up there doing between 7 and 10. Watts per kg, kind of sustained up and over that climb. And unfortunately, you do get brought back to this first chase group with me. And we actually do sit down and chill for a while. Mm-hmm. The problem is, you can see their gap opens up to 30 seconds, to over a minute by the time we get to the end of this race. And that brings us to the end of this race. Now, we talked at the very beginning about our strategy as teammates, Will and I. Will, the front is gone, right? We're racing for the best of the rest. I think it's for like 6th or something like that. But Will, you're like, hey, I'm going to send it over this hill. Tell us about what's going on right now.
Yeah, I'm thinking we still have, 2K to go. That's a good time for me to attack, hoping that the group is a little bit worn out, maybe a little unmotivated to get, that 6th place finish. And I know I am very motivated to go quite hard for the rest of this race. So I'll send an attack, hoping you can relax in this pack, let other people do stuff. They don't know we're on the same team and working together. That helps us. Also, if I get caught, you'll have that great pop at the end because, well, you really haven't hit the virtual wind yet this race, right? So you should have a little bit left in the tank as far as that sprint power goes.
Right. Zwift racing's tough because you're always kind of on it, right? There's no coasting. But absolutely, like, I'm straight-armed right now. In fact, actually, Will, you taught me that. Like, when my little avatar is straight-armed like that, I'm in the draft. And when I'm, like, low and arrow on the front, I'm not in the draft. I didn't know that until you told me that. But, yeah, I have been straight-armed for a lot of this race because of the work that you've done, which, again, is like teamwork works in Zwift racing as well. And you are still smashing on the front. I want to say something, too. You used a power-up that was for drafting. Mm-hmm. And once that finished, we hit the climb. You timed it perfectly. You launched over the climb, and then I kind of sagged the climb. I drifted back a little bit, and I'm just trying to save as much energy as possible because I'm thinking, hey, worst case, you get brought back. I'm ready to go for 200 meters. Best case, you roll off the front, and I get to beat all these guys at 200 meters anyway. So it's a win-win for us. But these guys do end up chasing you back, and it's not easy for me. I'm still doing over 400 in the draft, which means they're doing probably over 500 to chase you back, and you were doing, over 500 off the front. Yeah. So that's why this is so beautiful because, like, not only did you shoot your shot for the 2K, long-range attack, but now I'm not concerned about a counterattack because these dudes must be tired. If I'm 170 beats per minute, like, they must be really exhausted because they didn't have that convenience of sitting in the draft like I have. And now we're 600 meters to go. I did get another arrow power up, so I'm sitting on that. I'm stoked on that. And you're like, Jeff, I ain't done yet. Hold my beer. I got one more effort left in me, and hang on because I'm going to lead things out. And there you go in the blue jersey on the left. And power-ups are coming in. I'm hanging on to mine, waiting. I stand up, and then there goes my power boost. So I'm arrow. I'm going to push it as hard as I possibly can, and I have just a little bit left in the tank thanks to the setup that you did in the final 2Ks, and then the work that you did chasing things back. But it's funny because my power up was over here like 100 meters to go. I was like, oh my God, 177 beats per minute. But I am able to hang on for the field sprint win, best of the rest. Oh, 6th place, not 7th. But man, they were a minute and a half ahead of us. Crazy. 4.3 watts per kg. That's average. I think the normalized was quite a bit more. But hey, that was a lot of fun, man. Like, I didn't think I was going to have so much fun doing these, especially the commentary.
Yeah.
If you guys are interested in seeing us attempt to win another A race, leave a comment down below. You'll talk Will and I into getting back on the trainer and shooting another A race. If you're down, Will, what do you think?
Absolutely. I love these races.
And thanks again to Zwift for sponsoring this video. Don't forget, guys, you can catch us on Zwift too. I'll leave a link down in the description. Hope to see you guys in the next race. Later.